Okay, let's check that. And we're live. Okay, we're going to try this one more time. Testing out the setup. Going to click go live here. And now we are live on Instagram. So I actually wanted to make this video because I was kind of inspired. I'm testing out my new live streaming setup. And before I was streaming in 1080 HD, and I'm going to give a little more context here in a minute. But now I am streaming in 720. And so I'm just kind of trying to see the difference on this camera because it's vertical, and things look a little different. But something I wanted to talk about is video jelly. Okay, so I'm going to elaborate on what that means. So at the start of this video, I said I was recording in 1080. Okay, but the output of my camera, which the camera I'm using to film myself is the Canon C100 Mark II. Okay, so that's what I'm doing. And you know what? Let's actually let's put some music in the background. Let's put some lo-fi. You know, yeah, we'll get the background music going for this little story time. But anyways, so when I was first starting doing video, HD and like 1080p was really a big deal, and something that I learned very quickly is that there's a difference between 1080p and 1080i. Okay, so when it says 1080i, that's interlaced. That's what that stands for. And when you see 1080p, it's progressive. Now, I know in this world we live today, it's like 4K, 8K, 12K, open gate. I mean, there's so many different resolutions and sizes and stuff like that. But when I was first starting video, it was 2012, and HD, full HD, 1080p, 1920 1080 was a big deal. And 1080p is much different from 1080i. And I remember I had did a project one time, and I didn't know what the difference was, right? So I think I recorded like 1080i because it was just like the setting on the camera, and I didn't know the difference. And something that I noticed is when I went to edit, there were all these lines in the video, so they wouldn't pop up all the time, but like if there was movement or whatever, the lines would like wiggle, it looked like jello or something. And so on this last live stream, I noticed that look, that was going on. And so I ended up, going online. I looked at all the forums, and I realized that, this particular camera that I'm on, which is the Canon C100 Mark II, for no other reason than, it's just I have it lying around, and I thought it would be cool to use a Canon cinema camera as webcam. But I realized today that it does output 1080p, but it's at a different aspect ratio, and you have to convert it and do all kinds of things for it. So for all intents and purposes, my camera can only output the 1080i, which isn't terrible. It's more noticeable for like a vertical video like this. You don't really notice it so much on the webcams or when I'm horizontal, but when you zoom in, you definitely notice it, so it's pretty bad. And so this was just like a cool little nostalgia moment for me because it's things that I've learned in the past, but it's just like putting that to use, that's the vibe, you know what I mean? So anyways, and I'll go ahead and talk about this just because this is more of like a nerdy kind of topic. So if you're hanging with me, totally cool. This is 4K world, but there was a time, so 1080i versus 1080p. I want to talk about it just a little, just to explain the difference for the nerds in the room, like the true, geeks. So when you talk about interlaced versus progressive, when when HD was first coming, you know, interlaced was like the normal one and like the popular one, and so that was like a standard and people used it, and primarily like when you were watching it on a specific type of monitor, it would look fine, there would be no issues. But what happened was these computer monitors and the screens we were looking at, started going to a progressive format, which all you need to know about that is it's different. It's different. It's like going from the telephone cord to the, you know, um, Cat 5 cord. It's like they're, completely different. And so, anyways, as we started seeing all of these monitors and people started watching things on these progressive monitors, the interlace stuff had these like bars across it. It didn't look normal anymore, right? So, anyways, that was something that I had to learn is, when you're editing something nowadays, just in general, I mean, even the TV networks want progressive footage now, there are some networks that want like different formats, so I don't want to speak for everybody, but it's not a big deal if you export something in 1080p or 4K and ship that off to a network nowadays, they'd probably be fine with that. They'd probably actually request that / prefer that, so anyways, if you enjoyed this video, thanks for hanging with me. I'm probably going to leave this one up just because there was a little info, a little bit of story time. I know I didn't go that deep into interlaced versus progressive. Really, it just has to do with the screens that we watch things on changed. And so the video formats changed. And now, like we said, we are in 4K, 8K, 12K, OpenGate, which last nerdy thing I'll mention, the 4K that you see that's like very common is 4K UHD, ultra high definition. And so basically that 4K isn't true 4K. True 4K is DCI 4K. And the aspect ratio, meaning the shape that it's in, it's just a little more squished, so it's a bigger resolution, but the shape's a little different. So that's why if you export something at true 4K, which is DCI 4K, it won't fill up the screen on like a UHD screen, ultra high, definition, which is, basically 4K. I mean, for all intents and purposes. So anyways, that was a little nerdy moment, but thanks. That's what I was trying to say. Thanks for watching the stream, you guys. Really appreciate it. And, if the video looks good, cool. If it doesn't look good, we're getting better. Every single day, we're getting better. So thanks for jumping on, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.